Hey everyone, welcome back for another episode. This episode, we're going to be talking about a simple question, but a really good question, and that I think a lot of people are going to learn a lot about for good and bad reasons. So the question is walking good enough for cardio? Some people are thinking, absolutely not. So you've got to be doing hit intensity. You've got to be doing you've got to do running. You've got to do um, intense workouts, really. And some people will be like, yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm going to put the truth in. You're both right. You're both right. Technically, actually, you don't need to do high intensity. But what I'm going to talk about in this episode is I'm not going to go to like scientifically accurate information because that's just going to bore you. You just need to know what you need to do. And also you're going to know what I would suggest. So you put in your trust in me, and I highly recommend that because this is something that I've been working on for a while, and I'll be telling you the the benefits of cardio, and it's really about understanding the why behind cardio because a lot of people think cardio equals weight loss. And that's just us generalizing, I know, but a lot of times when people run, um, a lot of times when people do hit training, a lot of times when people do any high intense workouts, it's for the goal to lose weight. It's the goal to burn calories, which is, well, it makes sense. To burn calories, it burns a lot of calories. But this is the truth. I don't want to go too detailed now, but a lot of the times you do this, but it's all about the calorie goal at the end. So it doesn't matter how many calories you burn during that workout, during that run, if you're not in a calorie deficit, you're not going to be achieving that goal. And that's by looking at nutrition. So when you think about training, you need to focus on what you can stay consistent with. And if you can stay consistent with running, if you can stay consistent with high intensity workouts, amazing, keep it up. But if you really struggle to stay consistent with this, stay consistent with something you can do. And that's why I suggest is walking. So what I want you to think about is when you do, before I talk about the answers and so on, just generally, when you think about achieving a goal, what's the why behind the goal? If your goal is to feel healthier and you want to become fitter, you want to incorporate high intensity workouts because that's going to help the heart be healthier. That's going to help with the systems. But if your number one goal is weight loss, fat loss, then yes, that stuff is going to be important, but it's not going to be the number one priority. Number one priority is going to be moving more throughout the day. That's walking. That's walking up downstairs. And the top priority is going to be your nutrition. So actually, it isn't doesn't matter how many calories you burn during the workout. That should be another that's another topic itself. It's about being a calorie deficit with your goal is fat loss. So the reason why I say yes and no about walking is good cardio is because if let's say I was someone who has I want to lose a lot of weight or I want to become healthier. I want to become healthier. My doctor maybe said I want to become healthier, and I don't like running. I don't like any high intensity stuff right now because you find it challenging. Walking is going to be the best option for you. Now, walking is a great stepping point, and then eventually you may start to do other stuff. But walking for you is perfect, and walking is a great cardio because I promise you, if you walk 60 minutes straight and you've never walked before, you'll be sweating. Your knees will be probably in slightly painful. So if 60 minutes is not as too long, maybe 30 minutes. And then what you want to do is let's say 30 minutes feels like a good challenge right now. So 30 minutes, flat out 30 minutes. Eventually, that 30 minutes becomes a bit easy. You know, you're like, oh, I'm walking 30 minutes. That's quite fast. And you do 40 minutes. Or you do that 30 minutes with a bit more of a pace. Doesn't mean you're like sprint walking, but a bit faster. And actually that time goes down. So you find ways to progress because that's going to really help the systems inside the body. You are progressing. That's really, really important. And then you keep progressing until you're just walking for longer periods of time. And that's going to really, really help you. And that's more than enough. You could do that. I've had someone I've worked with and they've lost a lot of weight just by walking. Obviously nutrition, but just by walking. So of course, running high intensity stuff is really, really good, which I'm going to talk about. But walking is good enough right now. And for myself and my goals, I know I don't want people to compare people to me, but I probably do maybe one intense training session per week. If that's running. I'm going to start another sport, jiu-jitsu, which can be another one. But I used to do 4 or 5 intense sessions, and I honestly will tell you that made my goals, which was fat loss, really, really challenging. So I stopped that because my main goal was fat loss. And eventually now I'm probably going to add a bit more high intensity sessions, not too many because that makes me, I don't need to, for my health and so on. But you can still get really great health benefits by walking, only as long as you are progressing. Now, of course, I'll say for a lot of people, for people who think walking is not good enough for cardio, and that's because we want to be in different zones. The different zones that so basically our heart rates will be our heart will beat. So if you're working out faster and intense, your heart rate will be faster, and so on. And there are a lot of science benefits of becoming in different zones. So when you do more high intensity stuff, if you're doing a sprint, you're getting different zones. However, if you're someone who strength trains, when you are doing exercises, you're getting in different zones, and so on. So like when you're doing like a 5 squats, going for 5 reps, not rep max, but just going for 5 reps on the squat, which is challenging. Maybe it's 80% challenging. You're going to be in your heart rate's going to be fast, and you're going to be in tone 2, tone 3. I recommend strength training, but I understand why people think cardio is not good enough. All I would say is, what's the goal behind it? Cardio is good right now for the heart health and so on. If you are progressing, if you're making it challenging over time, if you're someone who says, oh, you've got to you've got to do high intense every single day, what's your goal? Because your goal is to progress with that stuff, amazing. But if your number one goal is just general health, is fat loss, weight loss, that is irrelevant. You don't need to listen to that stuff. And most likely, they probably only know one way to achieve their goal. So if anyone says, you can't walk, that's not good enough, just don't listen to them. That's someone you probably don't want to listen to. I would highly recommend over time incorporating something which is high intense once a week because it is good for you, but you don't need to be doing it 4 or 5 times per week. You start off with once, and like let's say a Sunday run, or let's say a Tuesday HIIT workout or someone. That's really, really good start. And then you can progress over time, but you don't need to be doing loads. So walking is good enough for cardio. And don't listen to anyone who says different because walking is something that everyone can stay consistent with. And walking is something you can do with a friend. Walking is something that you can do in the morning, in the evening, during lunch. You can do whatever's best with you. And it's massively underrated for any goal, health goal, muscle gain, muscle loss, weight loss, and so on. So please, if you're listening to this and I want you to do one thing, is just focus on walking every day and see how you progress, see how you feel. I forgot that you mentioned before that it's great for your mental health as well. High intensity stuff. Yes, you get the dopamine, you get the endorphins after workout. But guess what? Same with walking. There's not as much. You still feel great for doing it afterwards. So if that is not a reason that no, is that if that's not a reason why you should start walking because you can thank me later. Hope you enjoyed this episode and look forward to you to listen to the next one.